everyone, and welcome to episode 22 of the YarnderWoman podcast. My name is Melinda. I am YarnderWoman on Instagram and Ravelry, and today is Friday the 22nd of May 2015. You can find show notes for the podcast at www.yarnderwoman.blogspot.com.au. I hope you've had a great time since we last saw each other. I've got a day off of annual leave today because my mum, my lovely auntie Fran and I all went to the Perth Craft Fair, I believe it's called. So that's in a big convention exhibition centre, and it's lots of different stall holders full of lovely crafty goodness. There were only a couple of stalls with yarn, which, as I was saying to my mum and auntie Fran, was probably a good thing, because otherwise I might have gone a bit nuts. So it was a lot of quilting, sewing, beading, what else was there? Lace, stamp making, paper crafts, everything pretty much, and then a couple of yarn places, which I will show you a little bit of somethings from acquisitions. But it was a lovely day. We got up quite an early start, though I was rushing for the bus, and as a consequence forgot to take my podcast business cards, which was a bit annoying because I wanted to give some out to a couple of people, but that's okay. But the reason I was is Sophie woke up this morning with a big spider bite on her leg with like 2 holes. Sophie is completely phobic of spiders, so now she's not happy to learn that there was a spider in her bedroom. But yes, so my morning was quite different from what I imagined. I was going to have a bit of a sleep in and, you know, take it easy getting ready, and I was going to take the iPad to go and record at the festival, not the festival, the craft fair. But instead I was, you know, looking through the first aid book and helping Sophie, and she's fine. She went to school as normal, so I think it's just a bit yucky and a bit scary for her. But anyway, there is a roundabout version to that, which is I've got lots of photos to show you from the craft fair, but I wasn't able to get organised enough to take the video camera or the iPad with me. But I will have lots to show you during acquisitions and spin me right round to tell you about. But until then, let's broach the subject, and we are quite, I don't know if you can see at this angle, but I'll show you a close-up in just a minute of our special badges. YarnderWoman badges! The wonderful Damien, who's DKS Art and Design, who of course designed the YarnderWoman logo for me, has been using a badge maker lately for some of his other designs, and so very kindly did me some YarnderWoman badges. We've only got a few at the moment, but let me know if you'd like one, because we'll know how many to press then. I'll be using them for giveaways, so any prize giveaways as well as anything specific to do with the badge logos. So it's just such fun. I've been wearing this one all day, the red one. Where is she? There she is. With her knitting needles up in the air. Sorry, there's a lot of reflections. I'm having a little bit of trouble focusing her without the reflection, but yes, I love her. So cute. So yes, very cool to be able to broach the subject of having my own brooch. So we're going straight into works in progress rather than stopping in at finished objects, because nothing is finished, because as I said at the beginning of the episode, it's the 22nd of May today, which you may or may not know is the first day of Stash Dash. Stash Dash, very quickly, is set up by the Knit Girls, and from today until I think it's early August, you finish as much as you can, either 3,000 metres or 3 kilometres, 5 kilometres or 10 kilometres of yarn. I think in the past it's only been 5, but this year it's been opened up for the 3 amounts. I will definitely be going for the 3 because I think that's achievable. I don't think I've officially ever entered Stash Dash before. I think started it and then sort of lost count and realised I was nowhere near it and moved on anyway. But I think 3 kilometres is definitely doable, and I've got a few things on the go, so I'll definitely have a good starting point. First off, this is the Windshield Hat, which is designed by Stephen West, I believe. Let me double check. Yes, Stephen West. And just cover up the writing. So that's that one there. And this was a pattern that I won from Cyborg's Craft Room for entering one of the finished object threads with Cyborg's Craft Room yarn. And so, quite aptly, I'm now using Cyborg's Craft Room to make this pattern. And this is the Bested base, which I believe is now called Digital, but it's the 100% Superwash Merino worsted weight. This is the Sea Cow colourway, which is just beautiful. Just come a bit unroped there. But I love sea cows or manatees or dugongs. I think they're awesome, as well as being a beautiful coloured yarn. So this is where I'm at. I think I'm about ready to start the decreases. It's been a couple of days since I've worked on this, but it's got that awesome pattern there. And then that's the back part of it. So it's got quite a lot of stretch. So very much enjoying this project. And the stitch markers I've got, this is one that's to show me the beginning of my round. It's a little, get out of the way, lobster claw. These are called the Impatient Knitter stitch markers from Little Skein and the Big Wool. I know Molly of a Homespun House calls them Progress Keepers, so same principle, you can hook them on. And it's a Little Red Riding Hood. It's not really going to focus, but hopefully you can see. And then to colour match, I've got one of my ring beaded ones, and that's from the Little Skein Poison Apple set. So I think the red and the grey looks awesome. So really enjoying that. This is for Damien for his birthday, which is the beginning of June. So now that we're in Stash Dash, I can start finishing everything. So I imagine I'll get this done over this weekend because I'm up, as I said, to the crown decreases. That is living in my bag from Bird Leg Bags with the awesome crows or ravens. And it's got this nice black fabric inside. That's the Bird Leg Bags tag. So very much love that one. And the next thing I've been working on is a tea cozy, and this is as a gift for a friend. So it is a free pattern on Ravelry. Excuse me, it's called the Little Cupcake Tea Cozy by This Is Knit, which I believe is the designer. So as you can see, it's got cables and then a split for the handle. And I'll just see if there's another photo. I printed this on like low ink settings to save inks, but it makes it a bit hard to see. But see, there's the spout and the handle there. So you make two halves and then match or stitch them together. So I've made one half. So if I stretch it out, you can see the lovely cables. Now, as I said last time, the Owl Cup Cozy, not the Owl Cozy, cup holder, that was the first time I did cables. And actually I found a very lovely home for that. I've already given it away. One of my former colleagues, former directors, so we used to work at the same company but in a different area now. She very sadly lost her father recently, and I wanted to make her something, and then I thought that would be really perfect for her. It sort of suited her style and her taste, and she thought it was gorgeous, so I was very glad to have that handy and ready to go. But as I mentioned in the last episode, I really enjoyed that cabling, and so I really wanted to do cables on this, and I love it. It's so much fun. I can't believe for so many years I was scared of cabling because I just didn't know how to do it, and just imagined it was really complicated. But and I'm sure there are complicated cables out there, but this has been quite easy and great fun. So I'll be making another side. So I'm up to here. I believe I have one more repeat of the cable section to go, and then at the top there's bobbles, which I don't really enjoy making. They're a bit annoying, but that's alright, there's not too many. And then you put some ribbon through the yarn overs here, and then you do a bit more ribbing, and I used the Jenny's Surprisingly Stretchy Bind Off for the top because I really like that as a finish. And I'm really loving this project. The only thing is, the pattern tells you to do 6 of the cables. So if each one is there, say, so I've got, that's your starting point. And then so I've done 1, 2, 3, I think it was, in terms of how many times you do the pattern. So it asked you to do that 3 more times, which to me just, that's a really big kettle because, teapot, because that's already pretty big. I mean, once it's around, but even that, it seems really big. So I think to keep it going would be very tall, and perhaps the designer has a very tall teapot, and good luck to you if you do. But I'm not sure what size my friend's teapot is. She doesn't live in Australia, so I'm sending it to her as a surprise. And I don't believe she watches the podcast, so hopefully she won't be watching this. But I'm not mentioning your name, so no one will know. But yes, I shortened it, and I think that's a better, or perhaps more average size. So the yarn that I'm using is from No Makers, and it's the Eric Lencher colorway. That's a character from X-Men. It's a DK base, and it's 80-10-10 merino cashmere nylon, and it's lovely to work with. This is the rest of the cake. Again, it's gone a bit squishy because I've been using it. So it's beautiful purples, blues, and charcoal. And I really love how the cables show up in that with the beautiful different colours going through. So I'm very happy with that, and I think I'm going to have to make myself one once I finish this. So after I finish this second piece, then I just mattress stitch down sort of the top sections, leaving that part open for where the handle and the spout comes out. And I bought some ribbon today at the craft fair that I'll show you in acquisitions that's going to go through the eyelets there. So very happy with that one. And before I show you my next project, I'll show you this bag that the Tea Cozy is living in. This is from Love Sock Wool, who's Sarah, who also has a podcast of the same name, Love Sock Wool. And she always puts these great like bottle top on using part of the fabric. So this is all fairy tales, and you can see we've got the girl here and here. So great bag. Highly recommend her shop, as I do Birdleg bags. And another bag shop I recommend is Stitched by Jessalou. This is my Halloween one, and this one plus my Hello Kitty from I realised about 20 years ago when I visited Japan in high school. These have my socks that I'm knitting on. So I've had these going for a couple of episodes, but I will show you once more just in case. Manic Pixie Dream yarn. I love her little logo there. And it's the Zombies Love Brains colorway. These are for Sophie for her birthday, and it's self-striping yarn, and it's got little red flecks amongst the green, purple, black, and that's sort of your zombie colours. Maybe I should call them spider bite socks now. Sophie would hate me for that. When she found out it was a spider bite that she had this morning, and Damien jokingly said, "Wow, it must be a really big spider," she got really angry because she was very scared. So this one's kind of close to the toe. I haven't measured. Her feet are the same size as mine. And as I mentioned last week, I knit her socks for Christmas using the same base in a different colour. So I've been basing the number of stitches and the length and everything on those socks. So I think I've got a little bit more to go because I'm pretty sure the toe finished about even with that, but I'll double check. So there's that one, and this one I haven't done quite as much on the foot yet. I use the Fish Lips Kiss Heel pattern, which is my favourite for socks. 1x1 ribbing at the top, and then just plain stocking it around. Now one of them has a funny bit, there it is, because a couple of weeks ago I was in a training course. I've been doing a lot of training courses recently because it's that time of financial year where everyone's trying to use up all their budget, so all the training courses are offered. So, and I don't usually take my knitting to courses and things because it's just not really the done thing. But we were doing an activity in a day where I thought it would be appropriate that I do it because we were sort of sitting and talking as a whole group. And the facilitator said she didn't mind at all, and no one at my table minded. So I was knitting along and did quite a bit on this leg. But then when I got home, I had about 3 drop stitches that I hadn't noticed because I hadn't been looking. I can do that a little bit. I'm not as fast if I don't look. But I was trying not to look because I was trying to stay engaged with what we were doing, which I was. And as, I'm sure as most knitters know, knitting mindlessly while you're doing something else leaves you very available to do something else. And on the Teaching Your Brain to Knit podcast, I can't remember which episode it was, but Catherine and Margaret were talking about that repetitive motion, not just knitting, but the part of the brain that uses is the part of the brain that often wanders off. So if you were in a training course or a meeting or something, and you're in, you know, long day and your mind starts wandering because you get, you know, tired by the end of the day. But doing some repetitive motion, that actually occupies that part of the brain and leaves your functioning or thinking part of the brain to actually focus. So it's a bit like doodling or, you know, doing things like that. You know, people doodle on their pages while they're listening, same principle. But anyway, so I didn't notice the drop stitches till I got home, and they were quite far down. So then I had to ladder down to pick them up, but because they were quite far down, the stitches closer to the top, there wasn't enough room to bring them in. So I wonder if it will turn up. Yes, see here how it's a bit puckered, and it feels very stiff there because as I pulled them back up with a crochet hook, there wasn't a lot of room, so they were really tight. And I think I even had to just hook one of the drop stitches into the others because it wasn't going to work. There was no room for it. So I think that's why that bit there is a bit more raised. But I figure it'll come out in blocking. Nah. But they're going very well, so I'll have to have those finished soon. Her birthday is towards the end of June. But I'm really enjoying them. However, because I've had them going for a few weeks, because I've just had them as my commute knitting and what have you, I'm getting a little bit tired of them just because I want them to be done, but that's okay. But the reason this one has had so much done on the foot is I took them to a comic and card fair that Damien had a stall at with his artwork, and I was helping him, so I was just knitting. So I pretty much knit all of that in the few hours that we were there. There were a few people there, and we sold quite a bit of Damien's original artwork, well, prints of his original artwork. But unfortunately, the day of the fair, it was just thunderstorm, huge amounts of rain. So for a start, it was hard for all the vendors to actually get into the venue. But then there weren't many people, unfortunately, that came to shop because it was just such a wet day. So that was a shame. But we did sell some of Damien's art, which was great, including some of his badges, because we just, as I said, used the badge maker, which my YarnderWoman badges were from. So yes, enjoying those socks, but ready for a new pair soon. And my next project that I'm going to show you is from very, very special yarn. So 2 weeks ago, I think, I got a parcel in the post, and I thought, oh, how exciting, a parcel. And I wasn't expecting anything. And then I saw the name, and it was from the lovely Julia, who is 9crafty11, who in previous parcels has sent me awesome bags like this one that she made herself. Just stunning. I love this girl, especially here, the bobbins. And this one, knitting. In this parcel from Julia was a magic cake that she made especially for me, and that she called colorway YarnderWoman. So it says YarnderWoman, Warrior Princess of Knitting and Podcasting. And lovely Julia remembered that several episodes ago I made an offhand comment about, oh, wouldn't it be nice if someone dyed some yarn and named it after me, ha ha ha. So she actually made up a YarnderWoman cake. It's so fantastic. I was just stunned. I couldn't speak, and I got a bit teary, I have to say. Just so beautiful. Thank you, Julia, again. Just amazing. And she's written on here all the different yarns that she's used for the magic cake. And it's just stunning. I'm so spoiled. And I then very promptly went and got the Magic Cake Ruffle Shawl pattern by Paula Emmons-Beasley, who's Paula from the Knitting Pipeline podcast. And it was through that shawl pattern that she made the magic cakes famous. And I've started, and it's beautiful. It's a little bit scrunched on the needles, but it's okay. Isn't it stunning? So we've got a charcoal with some like sort of purplies through it. This beautiful one here with purpley greens and grey. This grey with chunks of red. Gorgeous. And now we're in a red section here. So the magic cake pattern explains that you can do garter, stockinette, whatever you want. I think when Paula did the original one, she did, I'm not sure how it went, but for example, garter on variegated yarns, stockinette on solid yarns, things like that. So but pretty much you can do whatever. So I just decided to start with stockinette, and then I just went to garter for the next one, which I think worked really well for that colour. Stockinette again, and then I decided to go into stockinette because I thought the reds would lead nicely, but then I thought, oh, why not do a few rows of garter? But something weird happened. So, as I said, I've got a bit of a cold. So, you know how you get hazy, cold and flu brain? So, on this side, to hold it over me so it's not on the red wall, you can see there's a bit of a gap between the garters. On this side, they're much closer together. I have no idea what I did. My theory is that I knitted half a row, put it down for the night, and then the next time I came back to it, I've like gone back the same way, thinking I was on the wrong, who knows? I don't know, don't care, I'm just moving on. I thought about ripping it out, and I went, nah, it's supposed to be a shawl with all different textures, it's all different yarns, so who cares really if there's a different space between the garter stitch. So I figure if I'll have approximately this much width, I'll just go along and just whack in some garter rows in the middle of the stockinette wherever. But yes, loving that. I think it's going to be very cool. And it's so exciting to get through all the colours. It's just like a self-striping ball, obviously, but you know, you don't know when it's going to turn up. And in this case, I've got a bit of an idea of what colours are coming, but you don't totally know. So it makes it even more exciting. So very, very cool. I'm very happy. So thank you again, Julia. And I can't wait to show everyone more of what I'm going to be knitting on this. So we've got a couple more weeks on our pop culture craft along. The date for the ending has been extended to the weekend of the 6th of June. So you've got a couple more weeks, depending on when you're watching this, of course, to get your entries in. There's great things already showing in the finished objects thread. But remember, you don't need to finish to be eligible for a prize. You just have to go and come and chat in the chat along thread. Show us some pictures of what you're working on, or just talk, comment on other people's, it's fine. So there's going to be prizes drawn from both the chatter thread and the finished object thread. Very enabling. There's so many patterns I've now added to my queue or my favourites list from all of those. So can't wait to see what else is coming through. Thank you very much to all our prize sponsors. It's really, really appreciated what you're doing for us. And here's some photos of all the lovely goodies you might be able to win. It's going to be very hard to give all that stuff away, trust me, but I'm very glad it's going to some of you. So thank you again to all our fabulous prize sponsors. We have a set of Avengers Colorway Minis from No Makers, very exciting because those are in hot demand. The pack from Hey That's Super with a Hey That's Super bag, a Wolverine fake tattoo and a dark knit, instead of Dark Knight for Batman badge. SoFlo are donating a voucher so you can choose from the selection of awesome bags there. Ironmaid has made a Star Wars fabric bag, and DKS Art and Design is donating some of his prints, so you'll be able to choose from his collection as well. And remember that Hey That's Super, Ironmaid and SoFlo all have discount codes running for us. Links to all of those will be in the show notes, as well as the Ravelry thread for discount links. And they're all running to the end of May. So as well as finding out if you win something at the beginning of June, you can also go over and buy something if you just can't wait. And who could blame you? So thank you to everyone who's joining in on the knit along or crochet along or spin along. And thank you to everyone who's just coming along for support, and looking forward to seeing what else you're making. Got lots to show you for acquisitions, and lucky me, a lot of them are presents. So my first one that came in the intervening period since the last recording was that beautiful magic cake from Julia. So I've showed you that already in the works in progress. Then I was very excited to receive the prize that I won from the Ravelry group 15 and 15, which is knitting 15 pairs of socks for 2015, run by the lovely Anya, who is Lesa Sushtik. See how I said that quickly and it sounds like I know what I'm saying rather than not knowing if I'm pronouncing it correctly? Anyway, I won by random number draw the Valentine's sock along, as I mentioned a while ago, because also as part of that prize, I was also generously gifted a sock pattern by Raven AK, and then this is the physical prize that came. So in a lovely box from Anya, there was this great card, lovely hearts, very cute little bunny paper clip, some 2.5mm needles for sock knitting, and then 4, count them, 4 balls of sock yarn. And Anya said she'd originally, and this is from her own stash as well, not a donated prize, so donated by Anya. And she said when she'd originally been picking the yarn out for the prize before the prize was drawn, she had different colours in mind, and then she changed them to match me. So I think you'll see she has very good understanding of my colour choice. This great one, greys and blacks and reds. This one here, awesome, very bright reds in that one. And then this one, Regia, small red, and this awesome green one as well, the same one as the first one I showed. So thank you, Anya, very exciting, and I can't wait to knit some of these. And the next parcel that arrived has been one that I've been looking for in the letterbox, and the person who sent it has been asking me about several times, because it was actually posted back in March, and it finally made its way to me. It was very exciting, because I was concerned for the person who sent it to me, who was the lovely Becky, who is Westerly Whimsies, and she does the Wrapped in Wool podcast. So Becky is an expat Australian living in Virginia in America, and she had sent me something with some mini skeins for me. So as well as this awesome postcard showing where she lives, Virginia, she also sent me these gorgeous minis for my sock yarn blanket. So gorgeous colours in there. And she also sent me this awesome little notebook with beautiful chevrons. And these, which are very cute, in this cute little box, sushi stitch markers. Sushi is my most favourite food in the world. Sorry, the reflection. There we go. So thank you very much, Becky. Oh, there was also some chocolate, American chocolate for me to try. I don't have that to show you anymore. It's long gone. So thank you very much, Becky. I'm glad the post finally got it to me. I don't know where it's been in the world, but it was very well received. And now, the things from the craft fair. I was very spoiled today. Both Mum and Annie Fran bought me lots of things. So starting with what Annie Fran bought me. First off is this beautiful brooch, and it's made with some Japanese fabric with some writing on it, and what it says is Oyasu minasai, and what that means is good night, I'm going to bed to go to sleep, essentially. So I thought, as well as it looking very cool, beautiful fabric, it'd also be a good brooch to wear if you just were feeling a bit tired, if you're just, be putting that subtle message out there that you'd rather be going to sleep. So there was that. And then she also bought me, there was a store which had lots of scarves, and then these sort of scarf, not pins, but clips. So you put the scarf threads through here, and then it's got this flower hanging off it. And as you can see, it'll go quite nicely. And they were early birthday presents. My birthday's not till July, but Annie Fran said she wanted to get me some things while we saw them, so thank you, Annie Fran. And I thought this would be very good to sort of look a bit more grown-up / professional, but still a bit of my style when I'm at work, because I'm doing the manager role now. Sometimes some of my clothes, I think that they might be a bit young for looking overtly professional, so I thought this is a good step into something for my more corporate professional wardrobe for when I'm attending certain events and things. So thank you, Annie Fran. One of the first stalls we went to today was this one here, Mariko, and it had all this beautiful Japanese print fabric and kits and all sorts of bags and things you could make. So I was tempted to buy some of the kits, but then I thought it's hard because I have limited free time, as most people do. We're all very busy, and I'm reluctant to put my toe in the water of other crafts because I just really want to knit all the time. And I've got so much yarn and so many projects I want to make. It's difficult. So I didn't get any kits, but I did buy a few things. One, or should I say Mum bought for me. I chose a few things. So one is this gorgeous necklace. Isn't it just stunning? Let me hold it here. So it's got these beautiful beads and then the fabric's been wrapped around them. And this beautiful Japanese print fabric. So yeah, when I saw that, I'm just trying to hold it up against the red. When I saw that, I thought, oh, that's just stunning, I have to have it. So they did have kits of these with the fabric and the beads and such, but as I said, I just decided to go for the ready-made. And then something else I bought that I have no idea what I'm going to do with it, but it's a beautiful zip, where the zip is sort of very much a focal point. So don't know what I'm going to do with that, but I thought I had to have it while I saw it there. And that was great. And it was great fun because the people serving were originally from Japan. They live in Melbourne on the other side of Australia now. But at one point I just said, arigato, and said, yeah, thank you in Japanese. And then we sort of, conversed a little bit in Japanese, just little bits because I've forgotten so much. But the gentleman said to me, looked at my outfit and just said in Japanese, you like red, don't you? I said, yes, I do. So yes, that was the purchase from that wonderful shop. And something else Japanese, but not from a Japanese shop, this is from one of the yarn stores, is I got some of the Habus, yes, Habu Textiles, the stainless steel yarn. Now, I've never seen this in real life. I think the first time I heard of it, I think was on the Yarn Harlot blog, where she was saying she was going to make something and look very, how did she describe it, like very industrial or, post-apocalyptic looks or something. So you hold the yarn, see it's very thin. I'm just trying to pull off a little piece there. Really, really, really thin. So it's made with the wire. And then I bought this one to go with it. Just sort of reading, it's sort of a black with a black currant, purpley maroon through it. So you hold them both together to make your scarf. And then because of the stainless steel, you'll be able to do bigger, or whatever shapes you're doing, big or small, it'll sort of hold the shape so you can do different sorts of looks with it and pull it and push it. So as I said, I'd never seen that before in real life, so I thought that was great. So Mum was very kind and bought me those. And as I said, that was the only yarn that I bought. There was a couple of yarn shops, but I was quite subdued in my purchasing because, to be honest, it was all beautiful, but one of them, actually the place I got these, had a lot of unusual fibres. They had some with New Zealand possum, which was beautiful and soft, and then they had some with Kiviot and musk, or is it Kiviot the muskox? Anyway, very beautiful fibres, but they're all quite expensive because they're rare, so that it was a very fair price. It was just a bit more expensive than my budget allowed. But that was great fun to be able to see all that in real life, and I'll have photos of all the things we did at the craft fair towards the end here. And the last thing I bought was for the tea cozy, and as I said, you get some ribbon to put through. So I got two choices. I think I've decided. So I got this spotty one and I got this gingham one. So as you can see, which is the front, there we go. Both colours go, or sorry, both designs go in terms of colour. And I was originally thinking the gingham because I thought that's a bit more sort of kitchen type. But now I think, and Mum and Auntie Fran also thought too, that the spots would be better. And I thought with the bobbles, the spots would kind of go with that. So once it's all assembled, I'll thread the ribbon through and see. But yeah, at the moment I'm going for that. But they were quite reasonably priced, so I got both, and I will just use the leftovers for something else. And let me have a look. I think that's everything we got. Mum bought a whole lot of beautiful stuff as well, as did Auntie Fran. And Mum has this cool little pull-along trolley. So it was great. Everything we bought, we just threw in the trolley. It was perfect. And we were quite the envy of a lot of shoppers as well because there was no lugging bags around and everything. As I said, I'll put in a whole lot of photos of things that we saw at the end of this segment. There were so many beautiful things. There was one store where Mum bought quite a few bits and pieces, and they sold all this lace and velvet stuff. It was all very Victorian kind of era, and it really reminded me of both Little Bobbins and Molly from A Homespun House. So Danny from Little Bobbins and Molly from A Homespun House. Very much their aesthetic, and especially in one of the photos there's a tea cozy made with all these beautiful things, and that definitely reminded me of Danny because I know she has a lot of tea cozies on her Etsy site. And it was just a lovely day. And after we went to the Fair. Annie Fran went on her own way, and then Mum and I went into the city proper to have some lunch, and I had the most amazing food. It was hand-rolled tortellini with goat's cheese in the middle of the pasta. Oh, so good. And I had a cold brew coffee, which I love to have, and Mum got, what did they call it? A Coke espresso. So it was a glass of Coca-Cola, and then they put a shot of espresso coffee in it. So it was double bang of caffeine, but it was really tasty actually. So I think I will be serving those at home next time I have a party, which I don't do very often. But yes, it was such a lovely day to spend time with Mum and Auntie Fran, and then finish with a lovely lunch. And I've got the weekend now, so it was just wonderful. So I'm very behind in watching all of my regular podcasts, but I've been trying to catch up, and I've also been trying to watch a few new ones as well, because I've got a lot waiting. And one that I've been meaning to watch for quite a while, and I'm very glad I've started, is Rockabella Crafts Knitting in Wonderland, and that's Gemma in the UK. And I believe she's up to episode 7, and I'm only a couple of episodes in, so it's good. I've still got a few more to go. But she's lovely. She has lots of lovely projects, and she's also participated in a lot of the YarnderWoman knit-alongs. So that's great to now see your version of things as well, Gemma. So I'll put a link to that one in the show notes. I'd like to say a big hello to Rachel, Caleb and Titus, who are Rachel Swims, Caleb Crafts and Titus, who doesn't have a rubbery name yet. But they are the lovely Pinklets who belong to Sally Jane, who is Pink Hair Girl Knits. And you can often see them, especially the lovely Rachel, on the Pink Hair Girl Knits podcast with Sally Jane. And I'd like to especially congratulate Sally Jane and Rachel for the fantastic charity work that they've done collecting things for the burns unit in the Children's Hospital in South Africa. On Sally Jane's Instagram feed, it showed their entire boot of their car just filled with all the things that they've organised that have been donated by knitters, all the hats and washcloths. So fantastic effort, and something that everyone could learn from, just the amount of work that they put into helping that charity. It's fantastic. So well done everyone, and thank you. And then a couple of Sundays ago, it was Mother's Day here in Australia, and I believe it was in the US as well. And firstly, I'll just put a caveat. If Mother's Day is not a happy day for you for whatever reason, then I hope it was an okay day for you and that it wasn't too upsetting. But for everyone who does celebrate Mother's Day, I hope you had a lovely time. We started the day by going to Damien's parents to see his mum, which was lovely. Then we came home to pick up the tiramisu that I made to take to my brother and sister-in-law's house, where we celebrated with my mum, my brothers and my mum. My sister-in-law's mum is in Japan, so she unfortunately couldn't join us. But that was really lovely. Spent the day. It was a beautiful autumn afternoon, so it wasn't too hot or cold. And it was great. We had homemade pizza and the tiramisu that I made, which was delicious. And got to spend some time with my beautiful children, who are my stepkids, but they're my kids. They're my beautiful darlings. And my lovely niece and nephew as well, so that was a great day. And on Mother's Day, I cast on for the Mother's Day Cast On, which was organised by the Prairie Girls, Prairie Girl Danny and Prairie Girl Susie. And this wasn't just for mothers, it was for anyone who just wanted to carve a little bit of time out for themselves on Mother's Day and start a project that was special to them. So the one I chose, and I thought it was very appropriate, was the Magic Cake Ruffle Shawl that I showed you earlier, using the Magic Cake from Julia, because I thought, what more special yarn could I pick than one given to me by a lovely friend and made just for me? It was supposed to be me time. So that was another lovely part of Mother's Day. That wasn't till right at the end, because we were quite busy. As I said, we were going out all over the place, but it was a lovely way to end the evening with some great knitting as well. And the last thing I wanted to show you are actually finished objects, but from a few years ago, 4 or 5, can't remember exactly. But my lovely cousin Megan, who is daughter of lovely Auntie Fran, she got married, about 4 or 5 years ago, sorry, I don't remember exactly when, and she had quite an individual wedding in terms of the theme. It was come as you are, so it was dress in a way that suits you. So everyone was dressed very differently, some very formally, some casually. She wore quite a gothic vintage inspired dress. I was one of her bridesmaids. I wore a black and red vintage dress, and we all made our bouquets out of felt. So we had this wonderful day on a weekend a few weeks before where all the women of the family and friends came together, and we had all this felt out at Annie Fran's house and glue guns and all sorts of things. And we made bouquets for the bridesmaids, and then everyone who was attending got a little felt badge, and that was the theme. So it was just beautiful. So I've got the flowers to show you. Now, these did have much longer stems, but since that time we used to have them in a vase, and then when we moved into our house here, Sophie has had them in her room as decorations, and for some reason she's cut them all up, so I think she has a smaller vase and that's what's happened, but it doesn't matter. So I'll just try and get them all together to show you them in a sort of bouquet fashion. So isn't that cool? They're obviously arranged better for the actual bouquet, but I just love it. Black and red and grey, some white, love it. So I'll show you each one individually. So it was just different layers of felt fabric that we then stitched together, decorative stitch, put the button in for the centre of the flower, little ladybird on that one, and then on the back we've just, mine's quite messy, I'm sure other people's are a lot neater than that, but just a piece to cover up where the stem is glued on. And it's a fantastic idea for a bouquet because it's everlasting and you get to use them as decorations after that. Like this one with the spots. So yes, I thought I'd show you that because today was the day I went to look at other crafts, and while I didn't take any on to start anything else up, I thought this was quite appropriate. And some of those photos at the end you'd see were of some lovely ladies spinning and carding the things. See, I know how to do it. So one of the stalls at the craft fair was for the WA Spinners and Hand Dyers Guild. And I think Weavers, excuse me, I'll just lean over and have a look so I get it right. Hand Weavers, Spinners and Dyers Guild of WA. So this is their brochure. And it was great. So I had a great chat with them and I was looking at their wheels, and someone was drop spindling and they were saying how I sounded like I knew about spinning. Then I just explained that I had a podcast and I watched and listened to a lot of podcasts, and so I'd learned all the terminology. And the two ladies I was initially speaking with said, oh, we don't really watch a lot of podcasts, so we haven't seen yours. But just a moment, our colleague might have. And it's funny, they then, you know, motioned to someone else and she said to me, I thought I recognised you. So it was my first fighting in public that YarnderWoman got recognised. Mum and Auntie Fran thought it was very exciting. And so did I. It was quite cool. But in one of the photos, the lady who's carding, who's the one who recognised me, she was telling me that the fibre she has there is from an alpaca named Bilbo. And his hobbies are rolling around in the hay and watching TV. And so she was telling me, actually they were all telling me that I needed to start spinning. And she was giving me a really great story how the fibre that she got from Bilbo, she is carding and putting together, and that one of his pen mates, I think his name was Baxter, he was a black alpaca, and she was going to spin up the fibre from Bilbo and from Baxter and ply it together to make a shawl to give back to the lady who is the owner or the mummy of Bilbo and Baxter. And she was saying it's beautiful, and I'm sure all the spinners out there are just saying, yeah, we know. Beautiful to have, you know, the beginning to the end and keep going. And then she was also showing me a lot of the dyed yarn and fibre that they had, and they're doing a lot of natural dyeing. So some of the photos, you'll see there was some yellowy colours, and they were actually from the eucalypt leaves. And they could tell by looking at which ones they were, which species of eucalypts they'd actually used. So it was fascinating. So I definitely want to go back and chat to them some more. And we actually said that we would liaise again because Candace, who is the PR or organising person of the guild, says they often have speakers and they'd love to have me come along, which I thought would be very exciting. So even though I don't spin or dye, you know, still I could talk about the podcast and the things that I'm doing. More people will find out about the podcast, I'll find out about the guild, and I can learn more about it, so it'll be a great reciprocal thing, and I'm really looking forward to it. I know Penny, who is Happy Spider for the Happy Spider Knits audio podcast, she's over in Canberra on the other side of Australia. She's a member of her Knitters Guild, so I'm thinking I really should look into it. I definitely would love to catch up with these ladies again, and I'd love to do some dyeing actually with all those natural ingredients, natural substances for dyeing, whatever you'd call it. I'd love to do that because I think that would be fabulous. And then I think, yeah, getting into the Knitting Guild as well would be great too. So that's given me a lot of food for thought, and thank you ladies for your time and for sharing all that with me. And lots of extra new stuff to do. And with that, I think I'll have to sign off. I hope you are having a fabulous day, whatever you're doing. I am now going to go and pack up all my things that I've bought today. And I was going to say cook dinner, but then I realised it was takeaway night, which is very exciting. Every 2 weeks we have takeaway. And tonight I believe Chinese food was the vote, so that's great. I get sweet and sour fish. Yum. It's getting very chilly, as I said, so I brought out the shawl that I was wearing today. This is my Whispering Pines shawl, designed by the lovely Molly of Homespun House. And this is knit in skein yarn top drawer sock in the geisha colourway. So beautiful, 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 so soft. And this has also been my best friend going to work in the mornings. This is the Drizzle hat, the pattern by Mel Ski for the With Mel podcast and blog. And this is Madeline Tosh Sport in Composition Book Grey. So yes, it's definitely hand knit weather. I hope if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, you're getting warmer weather if you want it. And I hope everyone in the Southern Hemisphere is staying toasty. Have a wonderful couple of weeks. Enjoy your projects for the knit along. We'll be drawing prize winners the next time I record. And until I see you again, happy crafting. Bye.